So let's get started here today. We are talking about how to heal from heartbreak, how to break out of the pain of a breakup. Lots of people right now are going through heartbreak. So I wanted to create this training to give you some very, very specific steps to take now so that you can start to feel better. So if you've recently watched my self-love video, the steps that I'm going to talk about here today are very similar. So if you want some more details on how to actually love yourself after a breakup, check out that training. It was a couple weeks ago. There's going to be some really specific things here that I'm going to talk about today related to breakups and how to move on from them. But like I said, it's very, very similar to loving yourself. The steps are similar. It's all about taking good care of yourself so that you can heal and recover and move on to bigger and better things. The very first step, and it's one of the things that I talk about all the time when it comes to healing, is to allow ourselves to feel how we feel. So when we're talking about a breakup, it is essentially a process of letting go. And whenever we let go of something, we're going to be going through a grieving process. So many of us, and I include myself in this because I did this a lot when I went through breakups, we try to just paste over the pain with another relationship. And that can be really, really damaging to our life because we end up very often getting into toxic relationships. This is how the cycle of toxic relationships continues, not taking some time to allow ourselves to actually feel the loss. This is one of the things that I talk about all the time when I talk about healing, because the work that I do, part of the work that I do as an energy healer is to help release these suppressed emotional energies that we've experienced in our life. The reason they're there is because we don't allow ourselves to feel. So the most important thing you can do, the number one thing you can do, is to allow yourself to feel exactly how you feel. So you might be thinking, God, Lindsay, I don't want to feel pain. Like, this is bad. I don't want to be feeling this. I know. I totally get it. But here's the thing. If we don't allow ourselves to feel that pain, it's just going to be suppressed and we're going to carry it around with us. It's going to continue to fuel the cycle of getting into toxic relationships. It's going to make toxic relationships a bit more attractive than it would be otherwise. I talk about this a lot in some of my other trainings, but this is the thing that will help you to break the cycle of toxic relationships. Keep in mind here, this pain will not last forever. It's just an energy. Emotions are energies. They just want to flow through us. So if you can allow whatever is coming up to flow through you, then it will release and you will feel so much better. You will then be able to truly move on and have a healthy relationship when you allow all of this stuff to come up and out of you. So this is not just pain too. This can also include fear, anxiety, anger, sometimes even hatred. All of that stuff needs to be felt. You can treat these emotions that you're experiencing like small children. Like if you saw a small child crying, you most likely wouldn't shame that child for feeling that emotion. You'd say, oh, come here, let me comfort you. That's what these emotions are. They're little children within us, and so we want to welcome them, and that's how they come home to us, and that is how we truly heal. A lot of the advice that's out there when it comes to healing it's more surface level, and it's like, just eat some ice cream, or just try your best to move on and distract yourself. We're going to talk a little bit more about those specifics, but I have not heard many people talking about allowing yourself to truly just feel what you're feeling. And that was really a game changer for me in my life, because I grew up thinking that feeling stuff like that, like feeling sad, feeling the loss of something, wasn't okay. So I'm curious, you guys, let me know if this was your experience too. If the messages you got when you were younger were to not feel this stuff, like to just push it down, pretend you're fine, like put on a happy face for Instagram and just keep moving. Those were the messages that I received growing up, and I had to actually unlearn those and learn how to truly heal, which is to feel. Now, If this takes weeks, that's totally okay. If this takes months, that's totally okay. It takes however long it takes. That being said, if you are feeling like it's taking a really long time and you're feeling really stuck, please reach out to me because this is what I specialize in. I specialize in releasing the energies that are trapped and keeping us stuck in a cycle of grief that seems to be going on for a really long time. It doesn't have to go on that long, so please, again, if this is happening to you, reach out. That's something I can help you with. But yeah, the message here, the most important step, number one, is to allow yourself to feel how you feel. This is how you truly recover from a breakup so that you can be emotionally available for the next person who comes into your life. So that was step number one, allow yourself to feel how you feel. Step number two for recovering from a breakup is to take good care of yourself. This is another one where it's like, sometimes the last thing you want to do when you're going through a breakup is to just take good care of yourself. This is so important when it comes to recovering from heartbreak, to healing heartbreak, because here's an example. If you're laying in bed all day, every day, that's not going to help you heal. Making sure you get out of bed just a little bit every day, doing something to keep moving, like I'm going to talk specifically about exercise, that's going to make such a big difference in your healing process. Because, like I talked about in the first step, feeling all these emotions, feeling everything you're feeling, that actually takes a lot of energy. So we want to think of the healing process as something that is taking our energy. We need to take good care of ourselves because we're feeling a lot of emotion, we're processing things. This is an energetic process. It takes energy from our body, so it's so important to take good care of ourselves. So yeah, it's because this whole process of a breakup can be so emotionally exhausting, it's so important to take good care of yourself. And one of the most important things to do is to try to get some exercise, a little bit every day. And again, I know that this is so hard when you're in the midst of a breakup, when you're in the midst of a grieving process. You're probably going to have to almost like make yourself do it in the beginning until it becomes a habit. But just moving your body, even for like 10 minutes every day, is going to make such a difference in your recovery, because when you're exercising, you're getting those endorphins, which are they're feel-good chemicals in your body. And so that's going to help you to not sink so low into that grieving process where it feels like it's impossible to start moving forward. So what I recommend people do is to make this process of getting some exercise as easy as possible. So what could that look like? Like, here's an example of something that I used to do. Like, because the tendency when we're going through grief, it's very heavy. The tendency is to want to rest. And we do want to rest. That is also important. And we want to make sure we're moving. So what I did was I put this yoga mat next to my bed, and I would have these workout videos just queued up in my YouTube. So all I had to do was literally just like pop out of my bed, get on the floor on my yoga mat, turn on YouTube, and just start to move my body. So I made it as easy as possible for me, and that was what helped me. In the beginning, I did have to force myself. It was really like, this is the last thing I want to be doing right now. But I knew that it was so important to my recovery, and it did help tremendously. Once I got into the habit of doing it, it actually became a really important part of my daily routine. It felt good to do it, and it helped me to be able to move forward much faster than if I would have just given in to what really felt good to my body, which was doing nothing. Another aspect of that is to make sure that you're eating well. So like I mentioned before, a lot of the advice for going through a breakup is to like eat some ice cream, and that's supposed to be the thing that helps you feel better. So you can do that. You can absolutely do a little bit of that, but you also want to make sure that you're eating healthy foods, because like I talked about, a breakup is a process that takes a lot of energy. So you want to be fueling your body with things that are going to help you process that energy. So ice cream all day, not going to help you feel better. It's not going to help you move forward faster. And it is just like the exercise, it is the kind of thing where you're probably going to have to make yourself do it in the beginning. The tendency is going to be to just eat junk, like I don't care, I'm just going to sit here and eat this ice cream. I'm going to eat all this chocolate. I'm going to like make myself a whole thing of brownies and eat them all in one sitting. Let me know if you guys have done that. I've done similar things. But that's not what's going to help you to really heal. Again, you need that healthy food. You need healthy fats. One of the things that I started to incorporate in my diet going through a breakup was avocados, because our brain needs some healthy fat to be able to process all of these emotional energies. And especially if you're going on a healing journey, let's say you're in therapy or you're doing some specific healing work, that healthy fat, you need that because your brain is actually rewiring in a healing process. And the type of fuel that your brain needs is fat, actually. This was a healer I used to work with years ago, used to tell me this. Like after our sessions, she would say, like, go eat something really fatty. She would tell me to eat like a hamburger, which I did, and it was helpful. So the point being is to make sure you are eating enough fat, healthy fats, that are going to fuel that healing process that's happening in your brain. All right, so step number 3 for recovering from a breakup is how to deal with the obsession and rumination. So I guess this isn't really a step, but this is just, this part of the training is what to do when you are obsessing. So when you're obsessing over your ex, like you can't stop thinking about them, you feel like all you want to do is like go and read their text messages that they used to send you, you want to check their social media, you want to talk about them endlessly to people, you actually want to distract yourself. Now, I know this advice can kind of seem a little bit contradictory to letting yourself feel how you feel, but there is a difference between letting an emotion come up that's already present and it just needs to be released, and obsessing over your ex to where you can't think about anything else. So what's going on when you're thinking about an ex so much? There's this pathway that is forming in your brain that is used to directing the attention of your brain to this person. It's a habit. It's like it's a groove in your brain that gets worn because you keep going to that person, to that thought pattern. So in order to shift that, in order to heal, you have to shift away from that person, and that would include distracting yourself. So what does this look like? If you're in that obsession and you're just like, oh, like all I want to do right now is just go over our old emails, stop and go do something else. It's going to be so hard in the beginning, but what we're trying to do here is, again, shift that groove, that repetitive thinking onto something else. So go take a walk. Distract yourself. Maybe you're going to start to cook a healthy meal for yourself. Get your mind preoccupied with something else. Exercise is another good one. Maybe when you're in that obsessive thinking, you realize, oh, actually, it's time for me to go do my workout. This is a really good time for me to do that. Another thing would be like watch your favorite TV show or watch a movie that just makes you feel good. Really anything to break you out of that obsessive thinking pattern. And if you do this over time, slowly, your brain will start to get used to thinking about other things. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's not going to stop immediately once you do this. Like probably what's going to happen in the beginning is you'll be cooking, say you decided to cook a meal, you'll be cooking and still thinking about your ex, but the more you get immersed in this new thing that you're doing, the cooking, the going for a walk, the less you'll start to think about your ex and you'll start to think about other things. So this was really helpful for me because I was a person who used to get in some pretty stuck patterns of obsessing about an ex. And again, a lot of these steps do involve like kind of like forcing yourself to break out of these repetitive patterns and doing a new behavior. So this is a huge part of healing. Eventually your brain is going to get used to thinking about other things, and it's not going to automatically go to your ex anymore. So make sure you pick an activity that's actually engrossing for you and pretty fun for you to do, and that does feel good. So that is step number 3. So step number 4, this is a really important one, so pay close attention to this one. You're going to want to make a list of your goals. You're going to want to make a list of all the things that you want out of life, kind of like a bucket list, and especially all the things that you wanted to do while you were in a relationship, but you couldn't for whatever reason. Maybe you wanted to travel to India, but your ex was like, oh no, I don't want to do that, and you didn't want to go alone. Make a list of all the things that you wanted to do, but you could not do in the relationship, and then start doing them. This is crucial for recovering from a breakup. I cannot stress how important this is, because little by little, if you start to do these things, and maybe it's not that you take that trip to India with a friend right away, but maybe something small that you wanted to do that you couldn't when you were with your ex was you wanted to learn a new language. Let's say you wanted to learn Italian, and you just couldn't do it while you were in a relationship because it took too much time. You were just too busy. But now you have the time, and so you can start doing it. And little by little, you're going to show yourself that there is life after your ex, that you can be happy after that relationship has ended, that you don't need your ex to feel good. So you just start doing these things, and little by little, you will start to feel life come back to you again. You will start to feel hope. You will start to feel like yourself again, and that you can have happiness outside of that relationship. So this is huge. Again, I cannot stress how important this is. If you do nothing else, start doing this today. Pick something so small that you've always wanted to do, and maybe you're not actually going to do it today, but just take the steps. Like if you want it, like if the thing you wanted to do was to go on this trip to India, start to research what that would actually look like. Create a savings account to start putting money into that for your trip. Like, do something small today that's going to give you some hope for the future. Because the reality is, your future is going to be amazing. I know that if you're going through a breakup, this process feels really brutal right now. And there is so much hope for recovery, for healing, for a better relationship once you come out of that. So that's the 4th step. And you guys, I have one more step that is also so important here. The 5th step is to get support. Get as much support as you can. There is a tendency for many of us who have gone through toxic relationships to become hyper independent and be like, you know what? I don't need anybody. This person isn't there for me. This relationship is over. I'm just gonna take care of myself. I'm gonna do it all myself. I'm gonna be independent. I don't need anybody. You guys, don't do that. It's not helpful. We do need people, and we do need help to recover from a breakup. We're not supposed to do it on our own. So I always tell people to get as much professional support as possible. Get a therapist, get a coach, like go to a counselor, talk to your friends. Whatever you need to do to support you in that recovery process, do it. The more support you can get, the easier it's going to be for you and the faster you will recover. So those are my top 5 steps to recover from a breakup. You can start doing all of those today. And I promise you, if you implement these steps, you will start to feel better little by little.